Welcome back, True Seeker. It's a Wednesday, September 11th, 2024, the 23rd anniversary of the fateful day. And one of the top headlines that's buzzing this morning is the death of singer Frankie, Frankie Beverly, who once collaborated with Marvin Gaye, one of those many talented musicians who died at a very young age. And in the case of Marvin Gaye, they had to smoke him on April Fool's Day, the last day of him being 44 years old. And remember, that 44 number is very fateful. Malcolm X was killed on a 44 date numerology. MLK was killed on 4-4. And we're going to get to why it matters that Frankie Beverly's death is announced on this fateful day, on a day having 44 numerology. We're going to talk about, his big song, how it was on his album Live in New Orleans, where the Super Bowl is going to be this year. Of course, Super Bowl 59, like how Motown came out in 59 and Marvin Gaye, his former associate, was the Prince of Motown. New Orleans, with their scripted football season, had to start the year with a 59-yard touchdown. And again, if you're new here, this is what we talk about: numbers and rituals and secret societies, because as they etch on the temple, and I'm talking about the Masons, they etch all is number. And, him being announced dead at 77 on September 11th, that should ring some bells. Who can forget Flight 77? They still haven't released any footage of it. Flight 77 that supposedly crashed into the 77-foot tall Pentagon on the 77th meridian at 9:37 in the morning after it took off at 8:20, meaning it crashed 77 minutes later. Again, we talk about these same patterns on this date year after year, and this time it's a different type of tragedy. It's a talented and beloved musician. And they're saying he died yesterday. And we're going to get to what his death yesterday had to do with, what he's remembered for: his group, Raw Soul, which was renamed Maze, and what was going on in Philly yesterday, the debate, right? His group is connected from Philly to the Bay, just like the Warriors, just like the Athletics, just like the Liberty Bell. We always talk about Philly and the Bay. This man, Frankie Beverly, he's another Philly Bay connection. And again, that album recorded with the big song Live in New Orleans, where the Super Bowl is, how all these things are connected. Kamala's 59 years old right now, won the 59th U.S. presidential election. She's debating in Philly, representing the Bay, as Frankie Beverly, who's connected to both cities, is dead. Remember, the nation's capital on the 77th meridian, known as the Masonic City. So here, let's go through this piece by piece, because there's more. His big song, Before I Let Go. If you're new here, the practice of coding numbers into words comes from Kabbalah. Again, in the Book of Formation, a Kabbalistic text, the first paragraph says, God created the world with numbers, letters, and words. What I educate about is the Jesuits, who created modern Freemasonry, who gave us the calendar, who gave us the language as we know it. They're the ones that are the puppeteers of this world. They're standing behind, these record companies. They're standing behind these puppet politicians. Again, they are the Roman Catholic Church. All roads do lead to Rome. And, back in the day, Rome, they controlled people through entertainment, and that entertainment had a lot to do with bloodshed. Just like how when we were coming up in slave school, at least my generation, they used to teach us about how the Mayans, they would have their games, and then they would sacrifice people. Same things are going on today. Before I Let Go has that simple value of 119, like how the majority of the world writes today, 11/9, the day we get the news. And we're going to get to how Raw Soul in that same cipher equals 109, a lot like 10/9, the day he died. And again, that was the original name of his group that changed its name to Maze. So the article goes on. Frankie Beverly, the Before I Let Go hitmaker with his band Maze, has died. He was 77. His death was announced by his family on the official Frankie Beverly and Maze Facebook page Wednesday, because that's how all news breaks these days, on social media, because everyone's just stuck looking at their little slabs. Grieving the loss of a loved one is a deeply personal and emotional experience, the family wrote. During this time, as we are navigating feelings of sorrow, reflection, and remembrance, we kindly ask for privacy and understanding, allowing us the space to grieve in our own way. Again, it's always the same thing, right? As they put the story out to break all the Hearts fans, they want to be left alone and they want total privacy. Why do they always have to rush out the news of the death of these celebrities? Half the time they got, and more than half the time, they don't even know what they died from, but they already got to make sure everybody knows they're dead. We don't know what they're dead from, but everybody needs to know and leave us alone. We want our privacy. None of these families ever seem to look into these suspicious deaths, especially when the entertainers are a lot younger. People won't really question it because he's 77. That's a relatively long life. Sadly, especially for a darker complected man, when we all get the stats about how darker complected people die seemingly at much younger ages on averages, and that's not by accident. That's by design, because this cabal is very racist. Again, it's deep. It's that whole stolen identity thing. This period is one of healing. Must have been a typo. And your respect for our need for solitude is appreciated as we honor the memory of our beloved Howard Stanley Beverly, known to the world as Frankie Beverly. USA Today has reached out to Beverly's rep for comment. The story is developing. Okay, so born December 6th, dead September 10th. He is dead 39 weeks and days after his birthday. And again, there's been a number of bodies now for Kamala, starting with the wrestler Kamala, who was born James Harris, who was announced dead by the numbers 2 days before Kamala became the VP nominee. Here we are. Again, this man's so important to Philadelphia, dead the day she's debating there. Notice the announcement on September 11th. We've talked about this so many times. When you spell out September 11th as words, it's 77. World Trade Center, 77. Think about it. Again, what I just said about Flight 77 on 9/11. Hitting the 77-foot tall Pentagon on the 77th Meridian West, 77 minutes after takeoff, according to the 9/11 Commission report, which said it took off at 8:20 and crashed at 9:37. United States has the Gematria 77, as does Secret Society. And if you're new here, there are 4 base ciphers of the English language. We're going to go over those 4 base ciphers and how this news comes on the date that is the kill date. And that's a date that can only be recognized through the 4 base ciphers. And we've been talking about it every single month since Dick Gregory died, which was quite a while ago now. Every month we talked about this pattern on the kill date, which we'll get to in a minute. But again, the ciphers are simple. Alphabetic order, A, B, C is 1, 2, 3. Alphabetic order in reverse, Z becomes 1, counting back to A is the 26th letter in reverse, and both orders with numerology. So you're looking at the numerology orders, ciphers, forwards and backwards right here. And again, he died yesterday, 10/9. Maze's original group name is Raw Soul, which equals 109. Maze equals 45, like New Orleans. Again, Live in New Orleans is their big album with their hit song off of it. We'll get to that. But the kill date. So these are the 4 base ciphers. Do you see how kill with the alphabetic order is 44? With the alphabetic order in numerology, it's 17. With the reverse alphabetic order, it's 64. With the reverse alphabetic order in numerology, it's 28. Again, once a month, there's a date with the paths that has numerology of 64, 44, and 28. And the 1 month, or there'll be 1 month in the year where it'll fall on the 17th of the month. And that was 6 months ago. So this year, that was March 17th, also had the 17 factored in, March 17th, 2024. But we circled all these dates at the beginning of the year, and every single month when the kill dates rolled around, there's been a story like this. Now, notice how Raw Soul, the original name of the group, is also 28 and 44. So again, that was the group when it began. Every single month when these celebrities are announced dead by the numbers, and we see this a lot on the kill date. Sometimes they died a day before. We've seen it where they died 2 weeks earlier and they saved the news for the kill date. And they're like, look at it, no wonder they're putting out the news today. But it's just the same thing over and over and over. So many times it has been a comedian on the kill date. The word comedian equals 64 and 44. Like, we noticed this pattern for the first time with Dick Gregory, and we've been documenting it ever since. And again, I learned this knowledge in 2013. As time's gone on, we've learned more and more. We're on the outside looking in. I figured this stuff out through reading a book from 1926, Manly P. Hall's The Secret Teachings of All Ages. I mean, he didn't spell out all this information, but he just gave you the code and told you the alphabet is a numerical sequence, just like in Hebrew, just like in Aramaic, just like in ancient Greek. But yes, here we are on the kill date. And once again, it's more tragic news. And this time it's Frankie Beverly. And again, if you read the articles about his death, they all connect him to Marvin Gaye. And Marvin Gaye was killed at age 44, just like, again, MLK was killed on 4-4. Malcolm X killed on 44 date numerology. Then you get the first black president 44 years after the Civil Rights Act is number 44. And how many bodies have been connected to Obama? You know, just 2 years ago on his birthday, it was announced that the voice actor of the Lion King who played Simba equals 44, was dead. And remember, Obama told the joke on the Church of Satan's birthday at the White House Correspondents' Dinner, April 30th, 2011, that he was Simba from the Lion King. And we just talked about what happened yesterday, the news breaking of James Earl Jones's death. And sorry, somebody said, I kept accidentally saying James Earl Ray. If you don't know who James Earl Ray is, that's who shot MLK. Or at least that's the story. I don't think that's really who shot him. It was probably more like a Fed, and he was the patsy. But yeah, if you missed the work on James Earl Jones, it's all synced up with the new Lion King movie coming out, as well as Star Wars, as well as Field of Dreams and Sandlot. And it's a dark, demented ritual too. And the upcoming World Series, as we talked about, he's dead 141 days after the premiere of Field of Dreams, and the Dodgers, it's their 141st season, and they've been doing 141 rituals all year with the Dodgers since out of the gate when they won their first game 14-1 over the Padres, the other team that Steve Garvey played for, who's expected to become senator. Notice the white guy in the world of celebrities becoming senator, the black guys are all falling off and you know, dying, and that's how it is in this racist system. And it is a racist system. If you're a darker complected person, don't let the system be your excuse for why you get held down, but just recognize the reality of the situation and in reality too. I mean, this system's working against all people, no matter what your race is. But we do see in this world of celebrity sacrifice, the darker skinned people are getting the worst of it. We've seen plenty of lighter complected celebrities get it too, but you're darker complected, your odds of it happening to you are probably about times 10. So, since the articles are connecting to Marvin Gaye, I just had to look at how his death anniversary. Remember, April Fool's Day, right? They had to tell you his father killed him. And if his father really did kill him, I guarantee you there was somebody standing behind his father probably saying, listen, if you don't pull the trigger on your son, it's going to be you, your wife, your other children, your son. It's going to be a mass family murder suicide story. Because that's how I think that's how this game works. And it's also possible that it wasn't his father who pulled the trigger, but again, we know about 44 and killing and shootings and executions. We're talking about it nonstop all the time. You know, last week on Wednesday, it was what they did in Georgia, the 44th state, at the high school to scare the kiddos out of their rights and liberties. But notice, from Marvin Gaye's death anniversary to his death, September 10th is a span of 163 days, the 38th prime, death, murder, killing, RIP. That murder by numbers poster in the background with a 38 on it, you know, run it the big way, murder equals 83. And the song Murder by Numbers came out in 83 by the Police, where killing's the sport of the elected. And it's as simple as ABC is 1, 2, 3. So think about that in light of the upcoming election. And this man with connections from Philly to the Bay dying the night that Kamala from the Bay is debating in Philly. Here, Murder by Numbers by the Police, lyrics. Elected. Here, just read this whole song, but as it says in the song, but you can reach the top of your profession if you become the leader of the land. For murder is the sport of the elected, and you don't need to lift a finger of your hand. And again, for people who are saying, well, why wouldn't these families speak out? I could give you several reasons. Blackmail, threats that if they do, even worse things will happen, money. People are bought off every single day in this world. But those are all reasonable suspicions. And clearly something like that's going on. Now, notice Frankie Beverly, his stage name, has the gematria of 153 and 72, like Jesuit order is 153 and 72. And again, we got the first Jesuit Pope on the 72nd day of the year. That's Pope Francis. 72 bricks on the dollar bill full of the Illuminati symbolism, which was founded by a Jesuit. From his death to the Super Bowl is 153 days. And again, their biggest song is on the album Live in New Orleans, right? So go figure. From his death to the Super Bowl, 153 days. As we're going to get to, New Orleans equals 144 and 54, like Jesuit order. The day that he died, September 10th, is the day leaving 112 days left in the year. Kamala Harris won 12. The rematch of the Super Bowl, Chiefs-Niners, is on Kamala Harris's birthday, October 20th, 112 days before the Super Bowl. Super Bowl also equals 112. Remember when Snoop Dogg became the Super Bowl halftime performer the other year? His mom died 112 days before the Super Bowl. Remember that one? There's been a lot of these. Again, Before I Let Go, performed by Maze, which was originally Raw Soul, from the album Live in New Orleans. The song peaked at number 13 on the Billboard chart. Now, remember what we just saw? I just told you before the Niners played the Jets. I put it out for free. I said, when the Niners beat the Jets, it's going to make home teams 11-5, like the date of the election's 11-5. And in week 1, you will have seen Minnesota beat New York and San Francisco beat New York. Minnesota and San Francisco represent Kamala and Tim Walz. New York is Trump state. The election's 11-5. And I told my community on Patreon that I expected the 49ers to win by 12 points. Now, they ended up winning by 13. So they covered winning by 12 if you took them for 12 plus. But the reason we thought they'd win by 12, and I'll explain how they won by 13, and it makes sense. They picked up their 12th all-time win versus the Jets. The 49ers winning. MNF equals 12, like Kamala. Here, I want you to see the gematria of Kamala in the base ciphers, because all of these numbers are going to play a part. Deebo Samuel, whose name equals 39, got his 39th career touchdown. He changed his number to 1 this year, got the first touchdown of the game for the 49ers. The score was 26-13 at one point, 39 points. Again, if you're new here and this sounds like too much for you to understand or believe, you don't have to believe it. We've been proving this for over a decade. The games are totally rigged, and it's all planned out and scripted long in advance. Like how Kamala, who referenced the Great Depression right at the start of the debate, was born on the same day the president in the time of the Great Depression died, Herbert Hoover. He died October 20th, 64, the day she was born, the year of the Civil Rights Act. Again, he was president in 1932, like the score of the game. But again, they paid tribute to 39 in multiple ways throughout the game. Now Frankie Beverly's dead 39 weeks after his birthday. Last night, Oakland got the win. The Athletics used to be in Philly. Now they play in the Bay. Last night, they won in the 12th inning. Oakland, we thought they'd upset yesterday against the Astros. They had to win in the 12th inning the day of the debate. But you see how Kamala's 123 anniversary, we've been talking about all the 123 stuff. Biden passed the torch to Kamala 123 days after Willie Brown's birthday. You know, she rode Willie's Willie to the top in San Francisco. That's how she got to the top of the political ladder, on Willie's Willie. 123 days after his birthday was July 21st when Biden stepped down for her. Then Chuck Schumer endorsed her 123 days after his birthday. He's the leader of the Senate. He just in the Ides of March ritual earlier this year. That's when the Senate stabbed Caesar to death. Beyonce gave her the song Freedom, which equals 123. There's been a number of other things, but when the Niners beat the Jets the other night, they became 12-3 versus the Jets all time. And by winning by 13, they've now outscored the Jets by 123 points all time. Kamala, of course, is 42, like her mother died on the 42nd day of the year, right after Obama took office. 42, the number stamped all over Black history. Motown on the 42nd parallel, February 42, Jackie 42, Huxtable 42, Cosby Show 42, Tuskegee 42, the N-word 42, on and on and on and on. All three of these men connected to the Civil Rights Act. None of them were their birth names, but they all equal 42. Malcolm X, Martin, Muhammad Ali. And on and on and on. So many 42s in Black history. And again, when the torch just got passed to Kamala, it was 42 months and a day after they took office. But yeah, now coming back to Frankie Beverly, again, dead 39 weeks after his birthday. Again, dead 153 days before the Super Bowl. And remember, the Super Bowl this year is on the 40th day of the year. It's the first Super Bowl in New Orleans in 12 years. Number 12, Jacoby Jones, dead at 40 in this offseason from New Orleans in the last Super Bowl, the Harbaugh Bowl, where his Ravens won, and he was a big star in that game. And then he has to die this year before it returns to New Orleans for, again, the first time in 12 years. And notice New Orleans won their first game of the season with 47 points. First Super Bowl season, the 47th season in the NFL. The Mason study, the 47th problem of Euclid. You can go on and on and on about that number 47 and the rituals. Not an accident. This nation's birthday is the 4th day of the 7th month, or that president, White House, government authority, Republican, Democrat, and even the letters DC all equal 47. Kamala running on being number 47. She spoke at the DNC on the anniversary of Huey P. Newton's death at age 47, who founded the Black Panther Party in the Bay Area. And her father, Donald J. Harris, was part of that startup with Huey P. Newton. Again, being born for this. Hey, by the way, about being born for this, don't forget, Kamala was born 110 days after the Civil Rights Act of July 2nd, 1964, President's 110. Just like how the Niners came into that game against the Jets, plus 110 scoring all time, and then again, outscored them by 13 in the game to become plus 123 all time. See, I was thinking they were going to outscore by 12 to get the 12th win, and MNF's 12, and then they would have been plus 122, which is a big San Francisco number, but the plus 123 made sense as well. So if you took them by 12 plus, you had a nice big fat payout. And again, that's the advantage of knowing this knowledge. You can learn how to turn a dollar into $100, $200, taking advantage of a rigged system, not risking a lot to pay for some grocery bills when things are more expensive. Here's some other things to think about. He died the day before the kill date. Yesterday had 43 date numerology. Football equals 43. So does Masonic. So does killing. So does RIP. His hit song from 43 years ago. He died exactly 35 weeks after the anniversary of Live in New Orleans coming out. Super Bowl, football, they both equal 35. Just like the word eye, like how football is the shape of an eye. Again, like how Genesis 3:5 is about the eyes of God and knowing good and evil. Again, the Jesuits who served the Catholic Church set up this system. All roads lead to Rome. Catholic, Jesus, that's the Roman name for Jesus. Jesuitism, they all equal 35. 1225 is like 1225, which has a square root of 35, and it's the Catholic Church that has everyone worshiping on Sunday and worshiping Jesus, the Son of God, in the time of the pagan ritual of the resurrection of the Son. And again, it's just so obvious how they put all this together and they're mocking humanity. They have you believing in their fairy tales, worshiping all of the systems that they created to control and enslave us from the cradle to the grave. Again, I know a lot of people can't swallow that pill because they've been indoctrinated from the time they were born, and now it's just too hard to accept it, but it's so obvious. It doesn't mean you should give up spirituality and being a righteous person. It just recognize the childhood stories that were shoved down your throat are not the truth. These people have controlled you from birth through fear of death and what can happen after death. And that's why the Jesuits who are behind 9/11, they scared the shit out of you after 9/11. If you don't give up your rights and liberties and allow Big Brother and the telecom companies to collect all your data and information and spy on you just to make sure you're not a terrorist, you could get blown up by a suitcase bomb. And then the Jesuits put on the pandemic simulation a month before the outbreak in Wuhan, on the same day the military World Games began in Wuhan, China. And they scared the shit out of you again. And if you don't submit and stay home and give up your way of life and everything that made you what you were, you're a bad person. You could die. You better go out and get that experimental jab from the most sued company in the history of the world for wrongful death and injury, or else. Just scaring you with nonsensical stories that don't even make sense. Again, all this stuff's connected because it's the same gang doing it all. But yeah, New Orleans got the Super Bowl this year. The 144-54 city fitting in with Jesuit order Frankie Beverly's named the other half of the code, 15372, like Jesuit order. Kamala Harris, let's not forget, born on the day, leaving 72 days left in the year, October 20th. Couldn't pass the bar until she took it at the Jesuit University. Do you think she really passed it? I don't think Kamala really passed the bar. And I'm not saying that like because I'm some racist person that doesn't think a black woman can pass the bar. I'm saying that because she's never appeared to. I don't even want to get into it. It's just, again, she rode to the top on Willie's Willie. And let's not forget who died the day before the torch got passed. No, nobody even blinked an eye at that. R.I.P. Sheila Jackson Lee. Sheila Jackson Lee. What day did she die? Excuse me, she died 2 days before the torch got passed to Kamala on the 201st day of the leap year. Again, there's a 201 if you're new here, is just there's a reason that Trump buried his ex-wife on the 201st day of the year, and there's a reason Beau Biden died 201 days before the Pope's birthday, the first Jesuit Pope, the first living sweet 201 at the Vatican. There's a reason that his wife and daughter died in 72, right after he became senator-elect, in a massive 201 ritual on Limestone Road, just like how when he was 72 years old, that's when Beau Biden died at 46 years before he'd be elected number 46, 46 weeks after the Pope's birthday, when Catholic equals 46, and there's 46 books in the Catholic Old Testament. That's why JFK got smoked at age 46. Genesis 46 about sacrifice. But yeah, all this stuff just going on, and almost no one's blinking an eye. You know, they overturned Roe versus Wade in a massive 201 ritual, and all the news says this is going to impact black women the most as they swear in the first black female Supreme Court justice, whose name is Jackson, and it was the Dobbs-Jackson case that overturned Roe versus Wade. Sheila Jackson Lee. You know, you think Jackson, you think one of the greatest black entertainers of all time, MJ, who turned 11 the year of Apollo 11, the moon landing, and it's perfectly synced with him, the moonwalker. And remember, Michael didn't invent that dance. He had great teachers, and he had the skills to pull it off, and he made it famous, but it was his teacher who gave it to him. They made him the moonwalker. And then they took, well, I hope Michael's still out there. I hope Michael's out there watching this video someday, wishing he could speak out. And he should if you're out there, Mike. You know, I'd like to think he's still alive. Dave thing on Larry King a few days later. But again, if he's not here, just another guy who was taken by the code. Show business is deadly business. But that's how they do it, you guys. Again, just rituals for their big, all their big events. I mean, they got everyone hooked into all their big events. The Super Bowl every year, everyone's hooked in. The elections, everyone's hooked in. And these are all rigged shenanigans with just so much ritual sacrifice and death connected to them. And it's all based on lies and deception because the election's not real. The game's not real. It's planned. It's scripted. You're watching candidates who were born to be. Kamala, born on Herbert Hoover's death day, as she opens the debate talking about the Great Depression. Talk about predictive programming. You know, I brought up 46, you know, with the Catholics and sacrifice. Again, Genesis 46 about sacrifice. Look at what day Live in New Orleans was recorded. The recording began November 14th, which is the day leaving 47 days left in the year. Again, Kamala's running to be number 47. Her mom died on the Vatican's birthday, 2/11. 2/11's the 47th prime. It's like how Obama took office at 47, and he was the first Democratic president since Bill Clinton, who took office 211 days before his 47th birthday. It's like how the Super Bowl last year was the first one on 2/11, and the over-under was at 47.5, and we imagined it would be 47 points because Vatican equals 47, like Nevada, where it was. Again, going with the first Super Bowl being in the 47th NFL season. Again, president, White House, government authority, Republican, Democrat, D.C., they're all 47. D.C.'s the Masonic city where the Masons study the 47th problem of Euclid. American football is credited to Walter Camp, a Freemason. But that recording, it began on November 14th, the day leaving 47 days left near. And Kamala just spoke on the death anniversary of Huey P. Newton, who died at 47. But the recording was also November 15th, the day leaving 46 days left in the year. The day I got my house ransacked in 2014, a year and a few months into teaching this knowledge, you know? And I already had weirdos just like harassing my, you know, that was the final straw. Well, it wasn't the final straw. I put up with a lot more since, but that was a devastating day for me. I lost more than I care to admit that day. Had a nice business I was running out of my house, lost it all. And I'm pretty sure had I not been teaching this, that wouldn't have happened. But that was the day leaving 46 days left in the year. November 15th, 2014. Hey, I'd be careful with entertainers when you got soul in your group name, because that's what these people are, soul collectors. Took another raw soul here, Frankie Beverly. And you know what? I didn't run his full name. I just got to do it in real time. I got to see if there's something more there. His birth name is Howard Stanley Beverly. And you know where Marvin Gaye died, right? Howard University. Did Kamala go to Howard University? Howard University, we've seen a lot of 201 rituals with them. Remember, 201's big to these Jesuits. And why is 201 big to the Jesuits? Because in Hebrew, 201 represents light. And remember, Order of Illuminati equals 201, the illuminated, in the light. Light is knowledge. Funny enough, the English phrase, knowledge is power, is 201. You learn that, you start to see through these people. But did Kamala go to... Did she go to Howard? She did go to Howard. That's where Marvin Gaye died. Marvin Gaye, who I think... You know what? If I had to make a top 10 list of songs, I don't know if I could come up with a better number one than Inner City Blues. That song gets more true every year. I think that might be the best song ever made. Marvin Gaye, Inner City Blues. Hold on, let me get this right one more time. His full name is Howard Stanley Beverly. It's crazy, man. You see the 106 in his name? Did I spell his name right? Howard Stanley Beverly. I did. It's interesting that he's got that 106 in his name. Everybody knows 106 in Park on Black Entertainment Television. Remember, the word black alone in reverse is 106. Black Lives Matter is 106. The motto, I can't breathe, is 106. And you know what? You see how Black Lives Matter is also 56? He did die the day of the debate, 56 days before the election, which will fall on the day leaving 56 days left in the year. And again, that's a big number with the Jesuits, who are behind the Black Panther Party. That's why all of their original meetings were in Catholic churches in the Bay Area, where Kamala came up. And again, the Jesuits, who are the Society of Jesus, they set up camp in Washington, D.C. when they came to this nation. And that's why the nation's capital was eventually moved to Washington, D.C. And it's why Inauguration Day was eventually moved to 20/1, the 201st day of the nation's age. And again, if you go to the government website, it says the official name of that day is Inauguration. You got to spell it right. Inauguration of the President of the United States. That's what's on the government website. That's what they call 20/1, the 201st day of the nation's age. Okay, yeah, R.I.P. to Frankie Beverly. And again, quick recap. He connects the cities Philly and the Bay. He's dead the day Kamala's from the Bay's debating in Philly, 39 weeks and days after his birthday. Kamala number. The news is saved for September 11th. He's dead at 77. It seems like every year we're showing the latest ritual was 77 and September 11th. This year it's him. Big song, Before I Let Go, 11/9. Like today's date can be written 11/9. He died yesterday. His original name of his group, Raw Soul 109. Like 10/9. And again, they changed the name of the group to Maze, which has the 45, just like New Orleans, where they recorded the big hit song, where the Super Bowl's going to be. Number 59, like Motown in 59. And he's dead on the kill date. Raw Soul aligns with kill, aligns with the date numerology of the news. All the articles talk about his link to Marvin Gaye, who sang the greatest song ever, at least in my opinion. But dead a span of 163 days from Marvin Gaye. And again, Marvin Gaye killed at age 44, like Raw Soul and Kill got the 44. And so many people in Black history been killed connected to that number. And it goes beyond just even killing Black people too. But you start to look, you'll start to realize it's very disproportionate. But yeah, 163, the 38th prime, going with death, murder, killing, and RIP. The same numbers encoded right on the cover of Murder by Numbers movie poster. Frankie Beverly, 153 and 72, like Jesuit order, dead 153 days from the Super Bowl in New Orleans, where they recorded their big hit. Frankie Beverly's also 81, like how that album came out in 81. Keep in mind, Ritual equals 81 forwards and backwards. Kamala and Joe supposedly got a record 81 million votes. Joe's 81 years old right now. He's from Scranton, PA. Big Jesuit stronghold off Interstate 81. The Office, set in Scranton, ran 201 episodes. Again, Jesuit order also 144 and 54, like New Orleans, where the Super Bowl is going to be. He died on the day, leaving 112 days left in the year. The day Kamala's debating. Kamala Harris, 112. Super Bowl 112, the rematch of the Super Bowl on Kamala's birthday, October 20th, 112 days before this year's Super Bowl in New Orleans. So yeah, that's the quick recap. Again, Kamala born on the day, leaving 72 days left in the year. Joe Biden lost his wife and daughter in 72, and then his son Winnie was 72. The number's ice cold, 72 demons in the Goetia, 72 names of God in Kabbalah. 72 bricks on the dollar bill. People selling their souls for dollars. Raw souls for dollars. And, you know, even the shot there that they got, you know, the big photo you see up, like that Google makes sure you see when you search for his death, all that purple. Remember, they had Kamala dress up in purple with the pearl necklace, just like Lisa Simpson when she becomes the first president in the episode of The Simpsons. Lisa Simpson equals 47. That episode came out 152 days after Kamala's birthday, when Kamala Debbie Harris equals 152. From OJ's death to the ritual with the Niners, Monday night was 152 days later. And of course, President's Day fell on 15/2 when her and Biden took office. But remember, in Revelation 17:4 about the whore of Babylon, the whore of Babylon's wearing purple and has a pearl necklace on. And whore of Babylon equals 217, like how the torch got passed on 21/7, 217 days after the Pope's birthday, when Trump, back in 2017, visited the Pope at the Vatican on May 24th and gave the Pope a lotus flower. Kamala means lotus flower, 217 days after Kamala's birthday. And last night he gave her a big win at the debate. And again, I mean, look at Trump's closing remarks last night in the debate. His closing remarks, the last thing he said is, he's the worst president ever, and she's the worst vice president ever. Again, that's a weak close, because again, you're not talking about anything that is about how you're going to make people's lives better. You're just shitting on other people, which is what they do in politics, right? Everything's attack ads, and this person's the worst, and here, vote for me. There's nothing to even vote for, but this other person's so awful, don't vote for them. I mean, that's the American political formula. So Trump echoed that, but at the same time, it's showing that you have nothing. And not to, this isn't some thing in favor of Kamala. Kamala got asked at the beginning of the debate, are we better off now than we were 4 years ago? Because a lot of people aren't happy with the economy, and she didn't even answer the question, and instead started going into a bio about when she was a child. And again, you guys, it's like I said, these debates, it's a joke. The elections are rigged. These people are chosen from the cradle as well, born and bred to be, just like Trump told you in his Serta mattresses ad, talking to digital sheep. But yeah, the whole game needs to get shut down, and it's only going to get shut down when enough people wise up to what's really going on. And I know how it is trying to wake up your friends and family. You'll be trying to share this with them, and they'll be like, what? Letters and that sounds like some conspiracy theory. You know, it's like they're not even listening. Their mind's already made up because they're under the spell from the TV screens. They need some guy in a suit telling them what to think and believe. Some guy in a cloth with a cross around his neck. The crucifixion method for a lot of people, the old capital punishment method for a lot of people back in the time of Rome. Everyone's walking around with one on their neck, submitting to authorities where only they have the right to kill. How many darker complected people have been executed by the state for crimes they never committed? Turn on your Peacock and watch Those Ready to Die, and think about how it used to be in the past, where Rome had the Colosseum to control people as society collapsed around them. and they demanded the bloodshed. They wanted to see people die. And then just think about how almost every single week through this NFL season, you're going to see a former NFL player just dead. Like Alan Aldridge, they announced him dead on Sunday, the day the season began. Alan Aldridge, former Super Bowl winning linebacker, just happens to be dead at a young age. His name just happens to equal 59, as the season kicks off for Super Bowl 59. Clemson player, 26, just dead by the numbers. Another football season. Who's ready to go to the rigged games? Buy those overpriced tickets, hot dogs, beers, give all this money to these tyrants so they can laugh to the bank while they sacrifice a few more former players they don't need anymore. They already used them. Like spent thoroughbreds. Take them down to Santa Anita and do another ritual sacrifice for Moloch or whatever it's for. But, yeah, again, as long as our friends and family continue to look at us like we're crazy, this is going to continue to go on. Until we can snap these people out of the mental coma they're under, this is going to continue to go on. So, somebody can't even listen going, oh, he was 77. Your grandpa died at 60. What are you talking about? It's just like, what kind of thinking is that? Yeah, your grandpa might have died at 60, but did this man need to die at 77 and be announced dead on September 11th? No, we're here every year showing the same thing. And you know what else? Here, if you guys missed the video that I posted, again, I post a lot of videos. If you go to my video tab and scroll down a little bit and look for the thumbnail of the World Trade Center. You know what? Since it's 9/11 here, let's just play the video real quick. Like I said, if this would have got to 1 million views, and back, in 2016, this probably would have got to 1 million views. YouTube's ruined my channel. I can't get views anymore. All the deletions and censorship and whatever they've done with the algorithm, I can't get views. But like I said, I posted this, almost a month ago. I said, if this gets to 1 million views, I'll go back and speak at the World Trade Center again. We've done it before on 9/11. Anyway, we came up 997,000 views short, so that was disappointing. Not shocking, but disappointing. But here, let's close out with that since it's 9/11. Let's play this one real quick. You guys got to know this. Wake your friends and family up to what they really did on 9/11. 2 towers became 0 before they became 1.
Tonight, it's all on the line for these young athletes.
11th fast approaching. If you're ever trying... Welcome back, True Seeker. With the anniversary of September 11th fast approaching, if you're ever trying to wake your friends and family up to the information of letters and numbers and dates and rituals, remember this one. With what happened to the World Trade Center, this year will mark 23 years ago. Again, the 4 base ciphers of the English language: the alphabetic order with numerology, the reverse alphabetic order with numerology. So you see, World Trade Center equates to 185 when A is 1, B is 2, C is 3, up to Z is the 26th letter. From Osama bin Laden's March 10th birthday to September 11th, when the towers came down, blamed on him, the man in the cave, it was 185 days later. And remember, his March 10th birthday can be written 10/3 like 103, and Middle Eastern terrorism with planes was associated with Pan Am 103, a lot like his 10/3 birthday. With the alphabetic order and numerology applied, A still 1, B still 2, C still 3, where it changes when you get to the double-digit letters. J, the 10th letter, instead of being 10 in the blue cipher, becomes 1 plus 0 was 1, so J is 1. K, the 11th letter, becomes 1 plus 1 is 2. L, the 12th letter, becomes, if you said 1 plus 2 is 3, you're right. M, the 13th letter, 1 plus 3 is 4. Anyhow, World Trade Center 77, remember, when you spell out September 11th as words, it equals 77 in the same cipher, but the Pentagon hit by Flight 77. It took off at 8:20. It supposedly crashed at 9:37. That's 77 minutes later. The Pentagon, 77 feet tall, on the 77th meridian west. Remember, in Gematria, United States also equals 77, as does Secret Society. To this day, they still haven't released any video footage of a plane hitting the Pentagon. There's a couple frames they released, which are hard to make out. Looks like it could be a missile. And don't forget, Pentagon construction began right before Pearl Harbor happened. They called 9/11 the new Pearl Harbor. Buildings 1, 2, and 7 fell in New York, kind of like the Pearl Harbor date 1/2/7, December 7th. Anyhow, run the alphabetic order in reverse. Z is 1 back to A is 26. World Trade Center equals 247. George Tenet was the head of the CIA at the time. He began his tenure there December 16th, 96. That was precisely 247 weeks and a day before 9/11 happened. So how perfect. World Trade Center 247 weeks later, boom. And then, of course, the World Trade Centers opened April 4th, 73, 5 years to the day of the MLK assassination, April 4th, and a non-leap year is the 94th day of the year. Don't forget, the word terror has gematria of 94 and 68, like World Trade Center construction began in 68, the same year 911 was made the National Emergency Dialing Code, the same year 2001, A Space Odyssey came out, the same year George W. Bush graduated from Yale in Skull and Bones. Remember, the alumni of Skull and Bones are called Bonesmen, which equals 33. From 68 to 2001 is 33 years later. Like order equals 33, like secrecy, like masonry, like federal. That FF word they don't like, that's another big 33 word. But, yeah, in a nutshell, the 4 base ciphers. And I learned this knowledge because of this day, looking into what it was about numbers and ritualism. Of course, there's a lot more to 9/11 by the numbers, but that's a good starting point. If you can remember those things by 9/11, you might wake up a few friends, family, acquaintances, people on the street, anywhere you can strike up a conversation. Till next time, True Seeker.
All right, and again, just about rig sports. Just close out too. Last night, the debates in Philly. Look at the Phillies beating the Rays. And funny enough, if the Phillies win today, they're going to be 9-11 at home all time against the Rays on 9/11. But you see how the Phillies got their 49th home win the night of the Kamala Harris debate, and the Rays lost 4-9. Remember, Kamala Harris equates to 49. And remember who died 2 days before she was made the VP nominee? James Harris, the wrestler known as Kamala. And for the record, he died on August 9th, the day leaving 144 days left in the year. And again, that's a big Jesuit number, but he died 73 days after his birthday on 8/9. You see how they did that? Kamala, the wrestler, dead on 8/9, 73 days after his birthday. Born James Harris, 49, just like Kamala Harris. Last night, Phillies looked good for the win. That 49 was standing out, and then they win it 4-9. Rig sports, rituals. The night before, the 49ers in the Bay. Again, sports connection with Philly and the Bay. The other year when the Niners lost to the Phillies in the NFC Championship, the Eagles play at Lincoln Financial Field. They were in the first Super Bowl with 2 black quarterbacks on Lincoln's birthday who freed the slaves. Just all mockery. But that year, the Niners stayed on 267 road wins as a franchise. And of course, Philly's the 267 area code. Also the 215. But that 267, big. But yeah, 49er ritual the night before for Kamala, and then the next night, Phillies, the night of the debate. I mean, it's just, and again, about the whole Whore of Babylon thing, remember, Philly is named in Revelation. The Church of Philadelphia gets the letter about the synagogue of Satan, or Revelation. Of course, 49 as well. You see it all the time if you pay attention to these rig games. Of course, the Nationals pitcher was going to fall to 15-22 last night. Atlanta 52-15, Braves 22. But we thought Oakland would upset last night. And again, you guys, they had to beat the Astros in the 12th inning. In the 12th inning, they had to beat them. After we just talked to you about this the day before. Kamala's from Oakland. Huey P. Newton land. See how they do it? Again, Frankie Beverly dead 39 weeks after his birthday. Oakland went in the 12th inning the day of the debate, and the Athletics are from Philadelphia originally. The night before, Niners had come 12-3 versus the Jets all time, now have outscored them by 123 points. Her mom's dead on the 42nd day of the year, right as Obama takes office. The torch gets passed 42 months and a day after her and Biden take office. Like Obama, she was a one-term senator who took the White House with Biden, who did the 94 crime bill that put a lot of darker complected people in prison. And he says, if you ain't black, or if you don't vote for me, you ain't black. Why? Why? Because you incarcerated so many black people, so now they should vote for you? Anyway, we'll leave it there for now, True Seeker. Again, thank you to everyone who hits the like and the share. And yeah, again, if we can get this work back out, if we can get the ratings up, if we can get the support coming back in, we'll be out there pounding pavement all across the nation again. I feel bad that I'm not in New York today. 2 years ago, I said we're going to start doing New York 9/11 every year. And I wasn't there last year, and I wasn't there this year. And it's not because I don't want to be there. I feel the most alive. I feel like I'm doing the greatest work when I'm out on the street waking people up in the flesh. But it's because financial support got cut in more than half after we did the New York trip, and that should have never happened. And I do think that was big tech, shenanigans, but people didn't fight back. They allowed it to happen, and we're still at it. Even with everyone signing back up for football season, we still have less than half the support we had 2 years ago. And we didn't have enough back then either. But yeah, again, I'll maintain and continue to say it. What I've been doing, and the people who've picked up the torch and helped me out for the last 11 years, we're doing the most important work anywhere in the world, internet or not. This work is what can wake people up to the sick games and the tyranny, and it's the evidence of what exists and needs to be stopped. I don't know anything that exposes it more, proves it further. I mean, we are so consistent with what we teach. I mean, just rewind the clock and look at what I'm showing you every year about 77 on this day. And this year it's Frankie Beverly. And remember, after 9/11, what did? They blamed it on darker complected people, and then they went and dropped bombs on their head when we know they had nothing to do with it. Mercy, mercy me, All right. If you guys don't know Inner City Blues, check that song out too. Marvin Gaye. Best song of all time, in my opinion. Don't follow the sheep. I appreciate it. He said, Beverly and band did a farewell tour this year. I didn't know that. The I Want to Thank You farewell tour in Atlanta on March 22nd. Wow. And then, wow, it ended on May 12th. Well, in a leap year, that's the 133rd day of the year. President, White House, government, authority. Here, I got to measure real quick. I appreciate that. Here, let's see how this lines up from the start of the tour to his death. But that 133rd day of the year, that's a big football. Remember, football equals 133, and so does government. And the reason you know that matters is because the Constitution's birthday to the establishment of the NFL, they both have the same birthday, September 17th, which is also Mahomes' birthday. But from the Constitution's birthday to the NFL's birthday is 133 years on the nose. So this thank you tour ended on the 133rd day of the leap year. Typically, the 132nd day of the year, like there's 132 rooms in the White House. But hold on, March 22nd, 172 days later. Interesting, the Jesuit motto ad Merum Dei Gloriam is 172. Huey P. Newton's birthday can be written 17/2. And to his death, 121 days later, wicked. Blood sacrifice 121. Revelation 121, this Philadelphia piece. A lot of death, the battle of good and evil in Revelation. Revelation's got that 59 like the Super Bowl too. The only physical description of Jesus in the whole Bible in Revelation, a man with darker complected skin and hair like wool. Kamala, 59 right now. Rest in Gematria says, this stuff they do is sick. And friend, I know you've said many times that we should start saying rest in Gematria instead of rest in peace, but that's kind of like a mean thing to say, isn't it? I mean, so that's why I don't want to say that. These people might have sold their souls, but like David Bowie sung about in the song Rock and Roll Suicide, too young to choose it. These people are made to make these crazy choices when they're very young. And when you're young, that's most of us, we look back and we were young, and that's when we made the most regrettable decisions of our lives because we had crazy hormones, or we were inexperienced, or our brains hadn't finished developing. And that's also why the cabal preys on people from a young age, and they put all these false ideas, the false religion, the false belief in state, the false belief in government, and then, they grow up with that seed planted, and then they just can't break free of it. They can't break free of the mind control of Rome. You look at how many people in the truth community, they got it almost all the way figured out, but then they're still stuck on that religion and that false name that starts with a J. There were no J's in his time. If anything, his name's Yeshua. But again, God doesn't write books. Man does. God gave you a mind, a body, a consciousness, an internal system, that keeps you living for a long... Again, we're the most amazing machine ever built. We can trash our body with all the poisons they give us, and we can still live to be at least 50. That's pretty amazing when you think about it. You trash most machines, it'll die in a week. You can trash this thing for 50 years and you'll probably still be hanging in there. You take care of it, you can live to 100. But again, all is within, you know. All is within. You know when you do right and wrong, unless you've been raised to be a sociopath, and that's not the case for most of us, thankfully. All right, True Seeker. I'm sure we'll be back today because it's September 11th. Until next time, take care.